Hi, everybody. I am Minister Raven Warren, and this is my handsome husband,
Minister Brock Warren.
Ain't he cute? And we are here to share. We just celebrated our fifth year wedding anniversary, which is super, super exciting. And nobody but God helped us to be able to achieve that goal. So we are here to kind of share some information about marriage and having a godly marriage and what it takes to have a godly marriage. So is there anything you want to say before we start getting into the questions?
No, I'm just excited. It's my first video with my wife. So we'll see where this goes, and I'm excited about it. Let's get started.
Let's get started. Okay, let's start with one of our first questions. What does it mean to do things God's way? What is your take on doing things God's way?
To do things God's way is to pretty much it starts with the Bible. It starts with your relationship, your walk with Him, just your belief also, and what He did on Calvary. That's the first start. Building a relationship with Him and learning what His ways are. The more that you dig, the more you'll find. Yeah. The more that you lose of yourself, and the more that you go after Him, the more you gain of Him. So with that being said, just more losing yourself, find a new direction with Christ. That's the ultimate thing that can help you as far as learning what God's ways are. Right. Every day I strive to seek Him. Mm-hmm. So every day I'm learning His ways. Right. Constantly learning, just growing in Him. So
yeah, I feel like, especially when it comes to marriage, I feel like it's important to be on the same track, to have the same belief system, because if you don't, you're setting yourself up for failure just from the beginning. I feel like knowing Brock, we kind of met when we were younger, but kind of didn't. But I already knew what his family was about, what they believed in, that we believed in the same God. We had the same belief system, is my point. And I feel like that really helped our relationship, even from the very beginning, coming into it, knowing, okay, this is not something I'm going to have to worry about. So kind of being on the same page, and like the Bible says about being unequally yoked with someone, I feel like it's very important that we really understand what that means to be equal with somebody, because you're kind of setting yourself up from failure from the beginning if you're not. So with that being said, let's go ahead and ask the second question, which is, what is the most important tool needed for a godly marriage?
Christ. Right. Jesus just being in the middle of us. He helped sustain us and keeps us. Mm-hmm. If it wasn't for God being in our lives, I don't think our marriage would work. Right. He's the one that comes in, and He's the guider. He's the leader of the house. Even for a husband. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of people say that a wife should be submissive to her husband, mm-hmm. but her husband has to be submissive to God. Right. So it all trickles down from one person to the next. Right. That one person first has to be submissive to somebody else. Mm-hmm. And if a husband is not willing to follow the lead of God, then how can the wife be able to follow her husband? So with that being said, the husband also has to be submissive unto God. I think that's a good point. I think that makes a lot of sense. And I feel like it's once I feel like God is the main ingredient in a godly relationship, obviously. I feel like thereafter, if you are a believer and you have that genuine relationship with God, I feel like in a godly marriage, of course, you don't step outside the marriage. You don't commit adultery. You don't do anything that would make your spouse feel uncomfortable about, outside people outside the marriage, conversations or your actions. I think that's very important tool when it comes to having a godly marriage. And I feel like we kind of set that standard in the beginning, that this was my expectation of you and vice versa. So I feel like that helped us have a successful marriage. And I feel like trust is another main important factor in a relationship. I feel like honesty, even if you feel like it's something silly, just be open and honest with that person. And if anything falls back, you've covered your butt, because you've talked to your spouse. They know your heart. They know your intentions. And if somebody else comes in their ear trying to tell them something about you, they automatically turn it down, because they know your heart and they know that there's nothing that you wouldn't share with them. I don't care how silly, how big it is. They know that they can trust you and that you're going to be open and honest and share every aspect of your life with that person. So, next question. In dating, what standards do you go by in a godly relationship? Standards. Somebody who carries themselves in a way that God would be pleased. And I can't get away from that because that's what I was about. I can't get away from, godly standards. A person who always looked to God for everything.
Right.
Pretty much. That I think that's real crucial and important. Even for nowadays, a lot of marriages don't last that long. Right. So for us to make it 5 years, it had to start with us dating.
Right.
And thinking that before we even got married about God as well.
Right.
So even before you even, you can't, you have to establish the foundation first.
Absolutely.
Before you build a house.
Right.
So the foundation has to be laid. And dating, that's when the foundation is being laid. The groundworks are being, built upon, and that's how you start off with. How you start off is pretty much how you finish sometimes.
Right.
And I'm not saying that you can't get it straight, but it's very important that you start off on the right note.
I agree. And for us, I know by the time we got married, I think I was 21. You were what, 22 when you got married? Yeah. So we were really young when we decided to go ahead and take that next step into our lives. And I feel like we've grown up together as far as being married, stepping out on our own, because neither one of us were married before each other. And I feel like just having those standards that we set in our relationship before we even started dating, because we talked for a while before we made it official and started dating. Then we got engaged and then we got married. But like he said, start setting the foundation in the very beginning means everything. You know how people say like first impressions are the lasting ones? I feel like that's kind of what we established for each other, holding each other accountable to stay virtuous, especially to each other. And we set the standard like, I'm dating you, I'm interested in you, we're not looking outside anymore. It's just me and you. We're not talking, to anybody else, being exclusive. And I feel like that really helped us set the standard for even like our physical interaction before we got married. I feel like that's important to set those standards beforehand. That way, when you actually start dating and then you get engaged, then you kind of understand how this is going to play out. And then some people have the misconception that when you're engaged, that's okay. You're practically married, but that's not the truth. And we understood how far we wanted to go, how far we didn't want to go in order to stay in the will of God. So I feel like that's important, and that creates a godly relationship. The next and last question is, how did you know your spouse was the one?
And that's, to go on with that, I mean, that's the last question, the standards. I mean, that's something I look for, some of the qualities that she brought to the table. That when we was talking, there was a lot of things that right away it's like, man, it was like, wow, whoa, hold on, what did you say? And it was like, secretly I was praying to God about these things, about God, give me a wife that's like this. Just talk to God, tell him exactly what you're looking for in a spouse, somebody that you want. And I remember telling some of my friends, about what kind of wife I'm looking for, some of the values that I'm looking for in a wife. And they said, man, you, for this time and day and age, man, like, maybe when you want to bring that down a little bit and lower your standards. And I said, no, I'm gonna pray to God about it. And when she came along, we was talking and I was asking questions like constantly. That's a big thing.
Yes.
Make sure you know who you getting,
yes,
involved with.
Yeah.
You ask a lot of questions. You go out and you just, see what they about. What do you look for in life? With that person. And if it doesn't meet with some of the standards, don't lower your standards.
Right.
Just go aim high, aim
Right.
real high, and and go with God. We are to look to the higher things.
Yes.
And, as long as you do that, I mean, can't fail. Can't fail. So when she came along, it was confirmation for me. It was confirmation that I was blown away still because of what God did for me. Because she didn't even know about what I told God, right, what I was looking for. And I didn't tell nobody. But it was just between me and God privately. And it came out and she confirmed it. That's how I knew.
So for me, it was because I didn't date a lot growing up. So for me, I knew what I wanted kind of, and what I know for sure what I didn't want. And I know I wanted somebody that loved God as much as I did, or if not more. I wanted somebody that was going to be willing to have a heart of God and that would do anything and everything that it would take to have a godly relationship. And like I said, we kind of met when we were younger, going to the same church temporarily. So we seen each other, but we didn't know each other, but our families knew each other. And I kind of had like a crush on him. I was like, this boy is so fine. But, like being shy, and being taught that the man pursues you, we never talked. So for me, I felt like, and I always wondered, like, over the years, like, what happened to him, or what is he doing now? And then we reconnected. But for me, when like you said, you have to talk to people to get to know them and know their mindset. Just ask random questions. What would you do in this situation? We did a lot of questions like that, just to get to know each other. And for me, I seen his heart. I seen that he loved God, and I seen how he cared for his mom, because that really matters, how a man treats a woman. That kind of lets you know how he's going to treat you. And him, all of his brothers, they have a beautiful relationship with their moms. So I took notes of that and how he treated me. We were long distance for, 2 years, over 2 years. We were long distance, and he drove every weekend. He was working third shift. He made a lot of sacrifices for me. And that showed me, I'm like, okay, I've never had nobody like this before that will go out of their way, through the snow, the rain, putting miles on their car, spending money on me. Like, not trying to, being concerned about the material side of it, but just this man showing me his sacrifices in the beginning, just showed me his heart. I seen that he was pure. I seen that his intentions were honorable. And I prayed about it, and I said, God, especially when you're stepping into marriage, that's not something you want to take lightly. That's not something you want to play with. And I said, okay, this is somewhere I've never been in this boat before. I've had relationships, but I've never had anybody like him before. I've never been in the place we are in this relationship and wanting to take that next step with somebody. So for me, I really was like kind of caught off guard, because we've never been in that place before. And when you are approaching something or a situation you've never been in before, that's your place to pray. That's your time to get counsel from God and seek God for his wisdom and his guidance and direction. And God gave me a release about Brock. And we had counseling before we got married, and everything just fell into place. And when he asked me to marry him, it was no question in my mind whether I was going to say yes or no. And it happened kind of quick for us, right, in my opinion, for some people. But by us being young, that was my desire, to get married at a young age. And God granted my prayer, and not just answered my prayer. He gave me the man I was crushing on as a kid. I thought he was so cute. And come to find out, I was right. And he has a beautiful heart and a beautiful spirit. He's an amazing father, an amazing husband. I wouldn't trade him for nothing. And that's not saying that we've had a perfect marriage. That's not saying we don't never clash or bump heads, or we always have the same opinion. That's unrealistic to think like that. We're not perfect. We both have failures, as everybody else. But what matters is, at the end of the day, just like the Bible says, to not go to sleep mad. Right. We always come back, and more so him, meaning that's something that I need to work on. Like I said, we're not perfect. Willing to apologize, even if you feel like you weren't necessarily wrong in the situation, but letting things go, because tomorrow's not promised, and to not hold on to petty stuff. So like I said, I felt a release about Brock, and God, if you follow God's guidance, you can never go wrong. He is an amazing person, an amazing husband. He's more like a best friend than a husband to me. He really is. I can tell him anything. I don't have to be shy. I don't have to hold nothing back. I don't have to worry about, is he going to judge me or look at me different if I tell him how my heart is really feeling in that moment. And he's proven to be who God said he was going to be to me. And I'm excited, and I'm honored. We are so excited about 5 years. And every day I was trying to post something leading up to our anniversary because we are excited. People don't make it 5 years, especially in our age category. Right. So for us, this is miraculous. Like, we are so excited. We're blessed because we have 2 beautiful children that God gave to us. And like I said, Brock is an amazing dad. And I'm just excited to see what the future holds, what God has in store for us. And I feel like I hope this helps somebody as
Right.
far as if you're in the stage of life where you're approaching marriage or engagement or dating somebody. I hope this was kind of helpful to somebody, and I pray somebody's life has changed because of this. You have anything else to say, Bill?
Just to add, first of all, marriage is very crucial and important in your life. It's a huge decision,
Mm-hmm.
huge. I'll never forget when I first started looking for the ring. I was nervous. I mean, and I really took it serious.
Yeah.
I was getting married to one person.
Right.
Not looking to get married to get a divorce.
Right.
Not looking to, call it quits.
Right.
And some of the things when we was getting counseled, we got counseled about that there will be some tough days.
Mm-hmm.
It's not always a walk in the park. There will be some days where you're gonna be like, man, like, I don't know, is this of God? And you have to have that reassurance that,
Right.
hey, He is the one that directed us together. He brought us together,
Right.
and it's your job as a husband to pray for your wife. She's an awesome wife, awesome mother. It's my job as the head of the house to, like I said, once again, follow God's footsteps.
Right.
It's not easy at all.
Right.
You gotta go to work. You gotta, just do a lot of sacrifice.
Right.
that a lot of you guys may not see.
Right.
And
Right.
we happy, we smile on the camera and stuff, but behind closed doors, there's some stuff like where we
have to work through it.
got to work through.
Yeah.
You'll have spiritual attacks.
Yes.
You'll have different things in life come
Right.
at you and hit you,
Right.
and we just had a few deaths this past year. That's another thing we have to learn. It's a lot of things that comes with marriage.
Right.
It's when she hurts, I hurt.
Right. And vice versa.
When she's mad, I'm mad. So
Vice versa.
it's a lot of things that come into factor where really you're bound together.
Right.
God is the glue.
Right.
And it's a bond that's unbreakable.
Right.
And it should be like that. And you should be able to have learn how to have good days and learn how to deal with the bad days.
Right.
You have to learn to deal with all that kind of stuff. You can't just have everything your way. Somebody said to me that you got to be 100% in.
Right. Not 50.
Not 50-50, 100%.
Right.
Each person has to be 100% in.
Right.
Because if you slightly just thinking about yourself,
Mm-hmm.
then it may not work out. And I learned
Right.
that lesson real quick.
Right.
Real quick, real quick. I learned when I was trying to make my demands, and I'm sure she'll agree with this, that she was trying to make her demands as well.
Right.
I don't care how much you say you love that person,
Right.
or how much that person is attractive to you, or
Right.
anything like that. Man,
Right.
life will test you.
Right.
It really will. But like I said, it's worth it.
Right.
It's worth it. It's a huge sacrifice, and it's worth it. And I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Me either.
Let's just start. We had good 5 years,
Amen.
and we're looking to have better 5 years in the future.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Love you guys.
Love you. Be blessed.
Be blessed.